Hello and welcome to the end of day number 28. We're going to try and do this without any cuts or any editing, apart from I might, depending on whether or not it's ridiculous o'clock in the morning, by the time I finally get home, I might put the title sequence in. I'm not entirely sure. I suppose you'll find out. So, end of day 28. I'm actually walking along, going to a friend's house.
Following with any regularity, uploading yesterday's vlog just was a bit of a non-starter. It's the second time in as many days that I've been late with something, and I really don't like that I have been, but you know, it is what it is. All I can try and do is not do it again. By the time I got to where I was going, my phone was down to about 5% battery. I couldn't upload it. There was no way of charging it. Lunch yesterday was this, and dinner yesterday comprised of this. They were both decent enough. There were quite a lot of snacks as well, unfortunately. I had an apple and I had some unsalted roasted pistachios, obviously roasted without oil or fat or anything else, and they were okay. They weren't quite as tasty as normal pistachios, like, you know, obviously the salted ones and stuff, but they were decent enough. Shall we talk about the progress so far? So day 14 and 21, results are up here, and I believe in pounds is here. And the current weight is up here, and that's how much has been lost. So we're doing pretty good, actually. That works out a lot better than the previous couple of weeks. The plateau is officially over and gone. I'm very happy. The moment that I stepped on the scales and it came up as 121.3, oh my word. I started laughing and I had a giant smile all over my face for probably about an hour. I'm looking forward to the end of Friday as well, so that I can do the one full month, the day 31 roundup as well. I'm loving it. It took so much work to get to this sort of point previously, you know, going to the gym and calorie counting and weighing all your food and literally every single item that, you know, you're weighing it and you're doing this and you're doing that, and this entire thing is just so much easier, and the longer that I'm sticking with it, the easier that I'm finding it every single day. Right, I promised it yesterday, we'll get on with it. Day number 8, no, not day number 8, job number 8, running into job number 9. Job number 9 is the last job that I've had up until this point here. I had just moved to Bournemouth. I noticed there were some advertisements for a manager position. So I thought, right, I'll apply for that. And it was with an international health food store chain owned by a very large medical company. I'm not going to say the name of it at all, because what I have to say is very, very disparaging. Business practices that I saw, the treatment of staff and managers by upper management, the treatment of people's work-life balance. When I was looking into them, when I was researching them before I applied, I should have paid a lot more attention to the reviews on Glassdoor. Hindsight's 2020, because there was a management position available, but they sort of said, right, well, we'll put you through the manager training because you have to have the training and the certificates from our company. I worked there for 3 months, and it took that long for my introductory training to actually commence. Multiple days of the week I was opening the store on my own, closing the store on my own, running the store on my own for the full 10 hours that it was open without a lunch break. If I wanted to get something, I had to leave, either take something with me to the store or leave the store, lock the door, buy something next door, get back within 5 minutes, and then eat at the desk, eat at the counter. There was no food storage training, even though we had giant walk-in fridges and freezers. As I say, it took the full 3 months before I even got my introductory training, and when I was asked during that training how things were going, like an idiot, I was honest. And I said, it's not going very well. I don't agree with the management practices. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with that. But, you know, I'm here. And I was asked to leave. I then got a wonderful phone call from the area manager who had been told a very, very different sequence of events to what I had experienced, and was told I wasn't fired, but at the point of my 6-month review, my employment would not be renewed and carried on. So I basically just said at that time, I'm not coming back in. Like, if that's how you're going to treat me and that's how you're going to work at it, no, you know, like, no. It's not happening. I didn't hear anything from anyone for a while because obviously I'd quit. Why would I hear anything from anyone? And then I got a letter through the post saying, your employment has been terminated. We've had no option to do this because for the last 3 weeks you haven't been turning up for any shifts. No one's heard from you. The HR department hasn't received notice of your resignation. That led to me calling both my solicitor, which is basically, you know, like it's our sort of low-level lawyer in the UK. And then I got in contact with the HR department of the company that I'd been working for and asked them how it was possible that I was being fired, given that 3 weeks before I'd resigned to my area manager, given him it in writing as well the very next day, and had both, you know, how am I meant to be not turning up for my shifts when I haven't been scheduled for any shifts and also had quit 3 weeks before? They said, okay, we'll investigate that. And then about 10 minutes later, I got a phone call from the area manager who said, no, I'm terribly sorry. I must have got the wrong end of the stick. We'll draw a line under it. Only the fact that I threatened to have legal action begin to correct this error on their part, that was why I got this groveling phone call. I think my biggest issue with that place wasn't forcing people who weren't qualified to open stores, because that happened a fair few times. We even had one other assistant manager who'd actually been hired above me, even though he didn't have the training as well and less experience than me. He opened the store, stood around for 1 hour, and then didn't lock the doors or anything, just left the store and walked off and disappeared and never came back. He came back in for his next shift 2 days later. The managers asked him why he'd done it, and he said, oh, well, I just needed to do something. And then did the same thing the next time that he was in. No one else in the store, and just left the doors wide open and wandered off. So if someone could have got in and got to the tills, they'd have had all the money out of them. They could have taken bucketfuls of product and no one would have been able to say anything. They could have gone in and set fire to the place for all that anyone seemed to care. And he still had a job. He wasn't fired. He wasn't talked to. Our store actually flooded. Drainage in the shopping centre that we were based in wasn't particularly amazing. There were certain areas of it that were, you know, sort of at capacity. And when we had very, very, very heavy rains, our store flooded and was a foot deep in water. Now, me and the other guy who were working there went in and tried to do our best, called through to our area manager, said, look, the floor is a foot underwater. All of the product is floating at this point, all the stuff on the bottom shelves. And we were told to open or else. What if someone had hurt themselves? What if someone had tripped over? We had a lot of elderly people that came in. What if they'd fallen and couldn't get up and we couldn't get them in time and they inhaled a lot of water? It beggars belief, it really does. But the thing that really, really got my goat from working there was I was told in no uncertain terms to tell people that homeopathic remedies work. They don't. They never have. They never will. Hello, cat. You're going to help me out. You're going to help me calm down a little bit. That led swiftly into job number 9. While I was working this job at the health food store and supplement store, trying unsuccessfully to diet again, I signed up for a college course that was in accountancy. I went to my lecturers and I asked, you know, if I want to get a job in accountancy, what's the place to start? And I was told the easiest way to get a job as an accountant is to go into credit control. Credit control, it turns out, is, you know those phone calls that you get And, you know, the letters and stuff where it's, you know, like your final reminders and, hey, you owe us a lot of money, like get in touch and we can help out. That sort of thing. That's credit control. It sounds pretty intimidating, but it's actually not. I was really genuinely surprised by it. I got a job with an insurance company in the UK. It took a little while to get up to speed on training and stuff. I made a fair few mistakes, as most people do, especially when learning a new system. I really kind of liked it. It was different. It wasn't what I was expecting. It was occasionally getting shouted at. It wasn't necessarily bad in any way, shape or form. So what would happen is, you know, reminder letters would be sent out by the system automatically. You haven't paid your bill. Is there something going on? Please get in touch. Settle it if you can. And after about, well, I can't even remember what the timescale was. After a while of that going on, my department would get your file through and we would assess everything that was going on. If the owner of the account had died, shut it down, wipe out the debt, everything, because you can't charge someone for something if they die. Other things that would happen was sometimes it would be that a direct debit had been cancelled by mistake, so we would send out new forms and stuff. Sometimes things have been sorted out, but because the final letter from the automated system had already gone, came through to us, so we would just close that down because it had been sorted out, it had been paid, etc. That was like the bread and butter, essentially. It was fairly regular that you would call people, or at least attempt to call people. What would happen is, if we couldn't get in touch with you, then, you know, you'd already had all of your time, so your account would be cancelled so that you wouldn't rack up any more debt, but it would be cancelled like 14 days from then, so you had plenty of time for letters to reach you, saying that the account had been cancelled, etc. So you could get back in touch with us and set something up, or pay off the balance, or whatever you happen to do. Or if we could get in touch with you, we wouldn't just say, you owe this money, pay up. We would ask if everything was okay, if, you know, if you needed to set up a payment plan, or if you could pay off an amount today just to keep everything running, if you needed a little bit more time and we could, you know, set a payment date in the future if you weren't ready to pay now. If there were any extenuating circumstances as to why things had got to this point, if, you know, if there was anything that we could do to help out. And that was awesome. I just generally love being able to help people. There was definitely good points and a couple of low points where, you know, I still made mistakes every now and again. After I'd been working there for maybe about a year and a half, Saguta got pregnant with Rowan. We'd already discussed everything and decided that I would be the one to stay at home with Rowan. I want to say like 4 months into the paternity leave of my 6 months, I got a call saying that my department was all being made redundant because the jobs were moving up to a different part of the country. If we wanted to, we could move up there to the other end of the country again, like back in the north, and we would be given guaranteed interviews to see whether or not we wanted to keep our jobs. I ended up having to say, I'll take the severance package. Because of the rules around it, you can't be terminated while you're on maternity or paternity leave. You know, that's against the law. They had to keep me going all the way up until the paternity leave ended, which was 1 week before I'd been working there for 2 years and would have been entitled to an actual settlement amount. So if you've been working for the company for less than 2 years and you got made redundant, you didn't get anything. Not too long after that, we decided with Brexit and everything that was going on, we would move. It was a complete coin toss as to whether or not it would be Reykjavik or Berlin. We went with Berlin because there's a lot more tech jobs and programming jobs and that sort of thing here. And ever since, I've been a stay-at-home daddy. Thank you very much. Terribly sorry again for day 28 being late, and have a good one. Bye-bye.